drawn huge crowds into the circuit, and he hoped to make it 2 wins from 2, but it has 2 wins from 3, but it's proved to be 1 win, 1 retirement, and a second place. He just couldn't pull off the passing manoeuvre he required. 35 degrees, the air temperature. Yes, it's kept on rising through the day. The good news is there was potential for a little storm to come through, but that seems to have burnt away. As you can see, fair weather clouds over the circuit, and no wind whatsoever. In fact, the flags over the pit lane just moving very, very slightly, but the horns and klaxons already sounding, waiting for the trucks to get out and do their craft. The top 8 finishes in today's first race reverse, so the championship leader will be starting in 8th place, the Czech racer Adam Lachko, alongside hometown hero, as I said, Norbert Kish in his Mercedes. Ahead of them, Steffi Harm, Antonio Albacete working their way towards the front of the grid. You then have last year's champion on row 2, so watch out for Jochen Hahn. Shane Brereton, British driver, will start 3rd on the grid, and then on the front row, Sascha Lenz and Gerd Korber. But the crowds have absolutely loved it here. He's armed with a drink, a cold drink, a klaxon, and a very nationalistic hairstyle, all of his own. And the motorway bridges the whole way out from Budapest, almost every one of them seem to have a sign saying, "Norby, we love you, go Norby." Huge pride here, and the paddock absolutely packed. In the background you can see the gantry over, but that's also a bridge. Trying to get across that has been the work of more than a moment. So Gerd Korber starting from the front row of the grid this time. Finished 8th in the race just before lunch today. Sitting up high, 5.3 tons, but powered by 5,000 newton meters of torque and more than 1,000 horsepower. These trucks have been absolutely mighty. The Hungaroring, not the easiest circuit on which to do passing, but the good news is no one told the drivers. So they have been absolutely thoroughly entertaining through the 3 races so far. The most notable race was the second one yesterday. If we can get anywhere close to the action on that, no editor would ever know how to edit the highlights down to a highlight package. Sascha Lenz on the outside knows his truck racing very well indeed. Finished 7th, that's why he's up on the front row, this time with the reversed order for the top 8. His father, Heinz Werner Lenz, 3-time European Cup champion at the end of the 1990s. Now a late visit truck coming out rather late from the paddock. And it's number 15, so it's Erwin Klein-Nagelfort, who's had all sorts of clutch problems, so it looks like he'll be taking the start probably from pit exit. That's good, that should bring us up to 16 runners. He was due to start 2 positions from the back of the grid. There's Shane Brereton. He's joined the championship, and his run so far has gone 10th, 7th, 6th, so you're seeing the sort of escalation. In fact, he should have had a 4th in the first race yesterday, but he did 2 overspeeding event situations, and that means there's a maximum speed you're not allowed to exceed, and the mapping on his engine wasn't sufficient to contain him, so he got the penalties that dropped him down to 10th place in that race. But Jochen Hahn, he knows what he's doing. 4 European truck racing titles to his credit. Just having a little drink there, you can see the drink going up the straw into his mouth. He has the number 1 on the side of Vivis Iveco, and it is really, really hard to understate the sheer passion for truck racing in Central Europe, because the crowds are huge and they go around the paddock and they gather as many things as they can get from the teams, going home laden with flags and t-shirts, and just actually getting up close to the truck. An enormous drivers parade around the circuit, had them all shouting from the side of the circuit, taking photos. There was Antonio Albacete, again another multiple champion in European truck racing. 2005, 2006, 2010 have been his glory years. Steffi Harm, she won a race here in 2015. It was her breakthrough at this level. She won again here last year, and so far has a 3rd, a 5th and a 3rd, but she's been very competitive. You'd have to say that behind Adam Lachko and Norbert Kish, she has been the 3rd quickest driver, just edging out Jochen Hahn. They've always been very, very close indeed. Slight heat haze, you look the long shot back up towards the front of the grid. We've seen down to row number 3. If we go back to row number 4, you can imagine when the fans look at the images on the screen, they will get very excited, because their man, we're going to go down to the 4th row of the grid, which were the top 2, and it's Norby. There are the flags waving for him in the main grandstand. 24, yes, they've reacted to the images on the big screens around the circuit. The screams and shouts, people standing, banging their balloon sticks together and really going for it, and they can be sure their man will leave no stone unturned in his quest to give them another win. He took 3 wins here a couple of years ago and was on course for possibly doing that, but he ran out of that option when he couldn't get past Adam Lachko to try and to take the victory in race number 3. He could still make it 2 from 4 this afternoon, but last time he tried coming up through the traffic on the reverse grid for race 2 yesterday afternoon, he came into contact, quite strong contact, from Ryan Smith in the 88 truck. There is Ryan, that Dayglow coloured truck on the right hand side at the back of the grid, and has become public enemy number 1 for taking off the national hero. Racing between Kies and the driver alongside, Adam Lachko from just across the border in the Czech Republic, has been very clean indeed. It really has been super close. I do actually fancy in a straight fight, in a straight drag race, that the Mercedes would come out just a little bit ahead, but he got bottled up behind Lachko and could do nothing about it in race number 3 earlier today. Gold fingers, it says on the multicoloured helmet of Adam Lachko, and certainly as he's extending his championship lead, you have to feel that is right on the money. So as Black Betty booms out over the circuit PA, and the seats on a very hot August day are still packed all around the circuit. Those are the uncovered grandstands, not quite so popular on such a hot day, but it is starting to cool down. That is after the covered grandstand on the approach, the downhill run to turn 1. And if you think it's tight when you have racing cars go around it, see it with racing trucks. Trucks that can be put sideways, but the quickest way is to keep them pointing in a straight line wherever possible, and that is why the chief exponents of that, Adam Lachko, is leading the championship, and the other super smooth runner is Norbert Kies. And also with 4 European titles, the number 1 driver, Jochen Hahn, very smooth indeed. Those at the back seem to put their trucks sideways a little bit more. It adds to the spectacle, but doesn't improve their lap time. So now, with the trucks stripped bare, if you will, that's one of the 2 Freightliners. That's Adam Lachko's teammate, fellow Czech, David Vysecki, European champion back in 2008-2009. Don't expect to see all this bodywork over the rear wheels intact at the end of the race. Certainly in yesterday's second race, we had a lot of bodywork rubbing, I think we can call it. So, atmosphere building up at the circuit. It's been bubbling all day. You could hardly move in the paddock at lunchtime, and some of the companies with truck cleaning equipment were just spraying water in the air to cool the temperature down for everyone. Real party atmosphere here in the paddock at the Hungaroring. And having had a 6-week break since the previous round at Slovakia Ring, just across the border, it's now coming thick and fast. The next round is next weekend, just up the road at Most in the Czech Republic. In fact, all the Czech drivers running with back number plates, suggesting that you might want to go and visit them on September the 2nd and September the 3rd. Down in 11th place on the grid, Jose Rodriguez, beating the wars a little bit. He didn't finish one of the races yesterday, but he's enjoyed his time. And he and his father, both driving identical trucks from the Rebeko Norte team from Portugal. They're driving MAN trucks. There we are, side by side. And that is the predominant make of truck, but obviously with Hahn in an Iveco, Lachko in a Bugira entered Freightliner, and the Mercedes of Norbert Kies. Plenty of variety out on the grid. Soon the trucks will set off on their formation lap. I think they've had the 30-second board. 1 minute board, yeah. All the remaining marshals walking to get off the grid. These great big rumbling trucks will go round for 1 lap more, not at proper racing speed, and then all that horsepower is going to be unleashed when they come round. Yes, we can see one truck missing from the back of the grid, and that should be Owen Klein-Nagelfort. We saw him go down the pit lane. I can't see him at pit exit, can't quite look out of my commentary position to see that, but for the fans here with their flags, their klaxons, they're not going home until this is over. So about 20 seconds until that enormously tall pace truck will lead them round on the formation lap. And don't forget, it's worth stressing, the top 8 starters are the top 8 finishers from the race earlier today, but in reverse order. So the truck that finished first is starting from 8th, and that's championship leader Adam Lachko. And alongside him, he's got the driver who is making all the fans go crazy, Norbert Kies, in the silver and red number 24 Mercedes from Tankpool 24 Racing. So possibly the last lap in which the fans can cheer and the drivers will still be able to hear them as the trucks go round. 15 of them and hopefully 16 if Irvin Klein-Nagelvoort can get out of the pit exit. Get running. So conditions still very hot, 35 degrees air temperature as Gerd Korber and Sascha Lenz, the yellow roof of Sascha Lenz, you'll be able to pick that out in the heat of battle, go around. No sign of Klein-Nagelvoort, maybe he's got to wait one more lap. I'll let you know if he does join the race, but he's out of sight at the moment. But really all eyes on the fourth row. Now, how much of a risk do they run? Let's take a look at the starting grid. The top 8 reverse. So Gerd Korber will start from the front, like stock car racing. Sascha Lenz, German racer alongside. British racer Shane Brereton. This is his chance, starting from third position ahead of reigning champion Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete, so many decades of racing. Steffi Harm, a winner at truck racing level. And Norbert Kies, he has all the eyes on him, and his chief rival, Adam Lechko, right alongside on row 4. Row 5 is David Vasecki in the second Freightliner, and Andre Kursim, teammate in another silver and red Mercedes to Norbert Kies. Jose Rodriguez and his father, Eduardo, down on row number 6. Row 7, Dominic Orsini, and hopefully Irvin Klein-Nagelvoort. We saw him going late down the pit lane. And the final row, Ryan Smith, this weekend's pantomime villain, if you will, for taking Kies out of race 2, and Frankie from the Czech Republic. So Sascha Lenz, his father a multiple champion, a 3-time European champion. He would love to be able to match that. Sascha, best result so far this year, a 3rd place in the opening round. That was a reverse grid race at the Red Bull Ring. Can he get to the podium for a 2nd time this year? Soon the FIA pace truck will pull into the pits. Just look how much dust these trucks kick up around the circuit. There's great big sticky tyres drawing it out of the curbs. You can see some of their marks out over the curbing as they go through turns 9 and 10. There is Jochen Hahn, number 1 reigning champion. Alongside him, Shane Brereton, British driver who's made really such an impact this weekend. Great mix of nationalities here at the Hungaroring, but the championship, having had that 6-week break between Slovakia and Hungary, it is now in earnest to the end of the season at the start of October, and a good run on the points could absolutely transform someone's form, but a slip up like Norbert Kies had in the second race yesterday when he was ended up with nothing with a battered truck. That is not what you want at this point in the season. Consistency is just as good as gaining a place or 2. But once they're on the track, the drivers are only interested in gaining a place or 2 or 3, as we will find out as you see the field coming down to take the start. Formation lap almost at an end. Brakes on as they get up to turn number 13. The enormous pace truck will pull off, and then it's up to Gerd Korber and Sascha Lenz to get the start. All right, clouds in the distance suggest storms might be somewhere in the neighbourhood, but I don't think they're going to be here in this next half hour, because these trucks are spectacular enough in the dry. What they'd be like in the wet, oh, I can't wait to see. So 15, possibly 16 trucks if Klein-Nagelvoort is in there. Can't quite see him in the background, but the important thing, the first 4 rows, 5 rows, very, very tidy. All eyes on the 4th row, 24 and 55. They are the drivers leading the championship. 55, Lachko on the outside of the front row. He is the championship leader, but the driver the home crowd wants to win is trying to make a good start and being dropped. A dreadful start from Norbert Kies. And Lachko's teammate, David Vasecki, is going to go past. It looks as though Sascha Lenz has pulled across to take the lead, but again, a poor start, worse than any he's made this weekend from Norbert Kies. So the yellow roof Sascha Lenz turns in ahead of Gerd Korber. Well, ahead a little bit, but on the outside line, so pushed back into 2nd place. There's Klein-Nagelvoort. He's come out of the pit exit in number 15. So we do have the 16 trucks. So it's Gerd Korber in 27 ahead of Sascha Lenz in 30. Shane Brereton in behind, but his 3rd place is being challenged up the inside with a blow and from Jochen Hahn, who I said hasn't put a wheel wrong. And Sascha Lenz was spun round. Antonio Albacete into the barriers. Ryan Smith round the outside, rejoining the circuit. And I'm afraid Jochen Hahn may have to take the rap for that one. He pushed everyone wide when he hit Shane Brereton. Can't see where Brereton's rejoined. He's in about 12th place, but it's Gerd Korber leading the way from Adam Lachko, who can't believe his luck. Then comes Hahn, then comes Harm. Poor old Antonio Albacete. That's a bit of a crunch for him, and that was nothing to do with him. There he is, right behind him. Vasecki. That terrible start for Norbert Kies. And we saw he's 6th position. Will he go up the inside? Now he's got to seize the moment as soon as he possibly can to get past David Vasecki. He's quicker than Vasecki. He's got his own teammate right behind it, Andre Kursim. But kicking up the dirt, running a little bit wide out of the chicane. 91 trying his hardest to get in the mix. That's Frankie, who came up from 16th and last position on the grid. So that sort out at turn 2 has really changed the order. Dominic Orsini being picked off as Shane Brereton tries to make up positions. He will be cursing after that clash. The hit up the side from number 1, Jochen Hahn. Jose Rodriguez, then Shane Brereton. Now let's take a look at the replay. Coming up the inside, 3rd place held by 17, clattered by number 1, and number 17 then caught up with poor Sasha Lenz, who was minding his own business and got caught up as well. And I'm afraid that rather affected the races of about 5 of the runners. Ryan Smith was starting down in 15th, so he didn't really lose so many positions, but certainly for Sasha Lenz, who led down into the first corner, was second coming out of it and then spun out of it at turn 2, and likewise Shane Brereton pushed wide and then had nowhere to go as he was caught against the side of Sasha Lenz's truck. What it does mean is they'll be unhappy that the championship leader Adam Lachko has got up into 2nd place, but they'll be at least relieved that their man is unscathed. Norbert Kies in 6th, and now he's attacking David Vasecki as they go down the slope towards the first corner of the circuit, and Lachko is now really starting to put the pressure on Gerd Korber. Korber still leading, Hahn in 3rd place, Halm in 4th, Vasecki in 5th, but being pushed very hard indeed by Norbert Kies. There we are, the Mercedes, the silver and red Mercedes, 6th under the bridge, the Generali bridge. And this time Jochen Hahn runs wide, and he may have made a mistake there going into turn 2. It looks as though Steffi Harm may have been able to tuck inside. Let's look, it's the blue truck up into 3rd place. No, still in 4th, but in fact being challenged. David Vasecki having a good run out of turn 3. So when we see them come up the hill as Ryan Smith tries to jink around the back of one of the trucks ahead of him. Let's see who it was ahead of Ryan Smith. Look for the day glow. It's one of the Rodriguez. It's 14. It's Jose Rodriguez. Whoa, turn 4, bouncing over the curbing. And Ryan Smith is going to gain a place. Jose Rodriguez easily dispensed, and now he's got the next driver ahead of him, and that's Frankie in 91. So Ryan Smith, a really feisty driver, not prepared to wait for more than half an opportunity straight round the outside of Frankie. Will there be contact? No. So 2 places gained in 2 corners by Ryan Smith in 88. His next target is Andre Kursim in 42. Gerd Korber was out-dragged on the run down to the first corner, but had the line to resume in the lead, having started from pole position. Got back ahead of Sasha Lenz. Sasha Lenz then taken out by that number 1 truck, Steffi Harm, now pushing Jochen Hahn. But back in 6th place, won't like being bottled up down there, particularly with Lachko having got up into 2nd. Norbert Kies, he has to make a move soon on 33, and don't forget 33 is the teammate of championship leader. That is David Vasecki, teammate to Adam Lachko. Now, if he doesn't close the door, I think, is there going to be a look from Kies into turn 13? No, there isn't. But let's see how they handle when they go through the long uphill right-hander that is turn 14, the final corner of this circuit. So there's the lead battle. Gerhard Korber right in behind Adam Lachko, championship leader, getting a nice, he get a nice tow down the straight. He's right in the slipstream. He's the one with the Freightliner, the very distinctive nosed trucks. Yeah, a great tow from him. Whereas just conversely a little further back, Vasecki has managed to out-drag Norbert Kies. So no tow for Kies, but definitely a championship challenge from the championship leader. Gerd Korber surely isn't going to turn in. Well, he has. Is there going to be contact? Well, if there isn't, it's by the separation of a couple of centimetres, and the advantage has been gained. He's on the wrong side of the circuit to turn into turn 2. Is he far enough ahead as they come down under the gantry? No, Gerd Korber isn't backing off yet. If you're going to come round me, you've got to go all the way around the outside at turn 2. Keep your foot in, Gerd, keep this racing interesting. Oh, a little bit of a clash there. And Lachko got the tail kicking out, and Gerd Korber eventually backed off. Ryan Smith coming through in 88. He's trying to get past Andre Kursim. He caught him, can't pass him there at turn 2. Gerd Korber now trying to fight back as they go into the dip up to turn 4, and the job is done for Adam Lachko, and still gaining no positions at all. Norbert Kies, he needs to gain every position gained by Lachko, who isn't getting away from Gerd Korber, needs to be counteracted by a place gain from the 24 Mercedes, but it isn't. David Vasecki in the 33 Freightliner has the answers now. Look, very, very close, about 2 seconds covering the top 6 as they monster the chicane, turn 6 and 7. Very close for Keese to the back of Vasecki out of the chicane, but in a straight line. It just seems the Freightliners have more acceleration. Shane Brereton running in 12th position overall, lost so much ground along with Sasha Lenz with that moment at turn 2 on the opening lap. I would blame neither of them, and certainly one would have to say that Jochen Hahn, no messages saying anything untoward has happened, nothing under investigation at the moment. Now we've got a place change potentially coming up. Steffi Hahn comes down the hill to turn 12 but cannot make a move on Gerd Korber. So Gerd hangs on in second place. He's been deposed by the new race leader Adam Lachko. Now with brakes locked and locking, trying to go up the inside. Steffi Hahn in the blue 44 man. You start to sense that Gerd Korber is no longer going to be able to hang on to the tail of race leader Adam Lachko, who looks, if he can stay ahead, he's still got 8 laps to go, that it could be 3 wins from 4 starts for him here at the Hungaroring, because Vasecki is doing, his teammate is doing all he can and holding off the driver who really needs to be not just giving chase but getting past. That's Norbert Keese. Norbert going down the pit wall side, trying to do something different. I don't know what he's trying to attain by that. Very deep entry into turn 1 from our race leader Adam Lachko, but he gets the braking done very, very tidily indeed. Fastest lap of the race with our race leader, 2 minutes 20.529. And the best pace so far for Kiss, 2:21.225. I'm sure he's quicker than Vasecki, but he just simply cannot find a way past. And 91, Frankie reporting to the pits. Can't see what the problem is. His pit crew, what they really wanted on a hot day was to sprint down the pit lane, coming to talk to him. Super close, nose to tail. Running 44, that's Steffi Hahn in 3rd place, Jochen Hahn in 4th, David Vasecki 5th, and then of course Norbert Kiss still bottled up in 6th place overall. Good to see Frankie's going to come back into the race. Oh, David Vasecki really taking the middle of the track and leaving very little space there for Norbert Kiss to try and go around the outside. Not always the easiest place to pull off a passing manoeuvre through turns 6 and 7. Why so much dust gets kicked up. Andre Kursim has quite some while ago been passed by Ryan Smith, start of last lap. So Ryan Smith in 88 now giving chase to Norbert Kiss, and I'm not sure Kiss would be too happy about that. They had their history in race 2 yesterday afternoon. The last thing he wants is a challenge from the Brit, who's seemingly happy to have a go absolutely anywhere and certainly attracts the TV cameras. And a little bit of an attempted move there from Steffi Hahn. It hasn't worked, and David Vasecki is making a move. He's now chosen that moment. Jochen Hahn in number 1 was delayed as Hahn got sideways in front of him, so Vasecki's gone from 5th to 6th. So now it is Hahn that is under pressure from Norbert Kiss. Norbert is trying to go around the outside at turn 13. Is that going to work? It could do. Let's wait to see which one of those comes around in 5th place. Can't see over the barriers as yet. The one closer to us, it's still Hahn on the inside going around the outside, but the crowds like it. They like to see an attempted passing manoeuvre. They'd rather see a completed one from Norbert Kiss. They see the order has changed to 33. Now he's just found so much speed, David Vasecki, right onto the tail of Steffi Hahn. Gerd Korber bottling them up. Maybe that's where they're all closing in. Look, Dean Smith coming up the back with the white truck with the red flashes and the bright yellow wheel arches. And all along, Adam Lachko pulling clear, 4.4 seconds. Norbert Kiss makes the place change. He's up to 5th. He's got inside Jochen Hahn. Look, in behind, but he's got ahead. But is Hahn going to make another move at turn 2? Of course, this is where he made a move on the opening lap of the race and caused all sorts of problems, and he's not backing out. So having thought the move was done, not yet. But if Hahn stays, he's going to be on the wrong line for turn 3. Now he's sufficiently far ahead. He's tucked back in, but Norbert Kiss is trying to keep him level. But then the right position as they come back up the hill will be with Jochen Hahn. So 5th is still in his possession. Gerd Korber now getting really frustrating for all those ahead. And look, this is the corner where 88 hit 24 yesterday. Trying not to do so again today. Norbert Kiss hangs on in 6th place, but that battle with Jochen Hahn has allowed Ryan Smith, who seems to have great pace at this stage in the race, to close onto his tail. So Adam Lachko sitting on a 4.5 second advantage, and then the next 6th, Korber, Steffi Hahn, David Vasecki, Jochen Hahn, Norbert Kiss, and 88 Ryan Smith, nose to tail, 2nd through to 7th. 2.5 seconds, I reckon, is probably all that it takes to cover those 6 trucks. Now, is that rubbing bodywork or smoking out of the back of 24? Let's take a look. Has he had a little bit of a kiss from someone from behind? Quite see just out of our shot. Ged Korber will be enjoying this run. He's traditionally a driver who collects sort of 8th places. He had a couple of 3rds at the start of the season, another one mid-season, but this meeting so far, 7th, 8th and 8th. And if he can come home on the podium in 2nd place, he will be a very happy individual. But Steffi Harm is giving him no rest in the 44-man. The blue truck ahead as they get to the final corner. Ged Korber is going to have to slow a little bit on to tuck it in, and I think the greater exit speed will be in 44. Steffi Harm will be out over the curbs, though, over the white line. But how close would you like your racing to be? Harm finally gets a nose in front. She's clear by 0.031, 31 hundredths of a second. Into 2nd place she goes and has further acceleration to pull clear. But we've got David Vasecki coming on strong as well, coming up the inside in 33. Is he going to be able to tuck? No, he hasn't managed to make a move on Ged Korber. Ged not wanting to cede position to Steffi Harm. She might be ahead, but he's forcing her around the outside, and surely this will give a chance for Norbert Kiss to get past Jochen Hahn in the sorting out. And again, is that bodywork rubbing? So much smoke coming off the back of the Mercedes of Norbert Kiss. And he's running a little bit wide this time. He's going around the outside of Jochen Hahn. Now, where is Vasecki's truck going to go? Is it going the path of Hahn? And will this give the opportunity for... No, it doesn't, for Norbert Kies to tuck up the inside into turn 3. So he's getting close, but he's not pulling off the moves. The driver who's really managing to do that is David Vasecki, who seems to have really come to life. And it was a misfire that drew Frankie into the pits. I've just heard. Great to have the hotline to let me know what's happening on the other side of the circuit. But Ged Korber, he's lost that 2nd place now, but he's determined not to lose 3rd place. But David Vasecki has been super positive in the 2nd of the Freightliners. There's the first one, race leader Adam Lachko coming through. And then the train, if you will, the train of trucks. 44 now in 2nd place, Steffi Harm. Just set her fastest first sector of all. That's what happens when you stop being pent up behind another driver. In fact, she gained 7/10 of a second as Ged Korber in the first 3rd of the lap found himself otherwise occupied, being attacked by David Vasecki. And yes, you can see how Steffi Harm is just starting to pull clear. She finished 3rd in race 3 earlier today and really ran at a good pace, but not enough to challenge Lachko and Kies ahead of her, and not to be challenged by those behind. So it looks like she might be getting herself into a similar position, because every lap that Ged Korber can keep that group behind him will allow her to escape in the blue 44-man. Behind Ryan Smith is a gap of nearly 5 seconds back to Sasha Lenz, who we saw being pushed out at turn 2 on the opening lap. Then Andre Kursin, the other silver and red Mercedes, and the top 10 completed by the 14 truck of Jose Rodriguez. Still nothing being gained by Norbert Kies. We have 7 laps on the board. Sorry, we've got 6 laps on the board. They're on their 7th lap, and look, Alden Lachko will be soon completely out of sight. He's gone through the kink after turn 1 as the 2nd place truck turns in. Oh, Norbert Kies disaster. Was he pushed? Did he outbrake himself? He's gone off the circuit. He may lose out to Sasha Lenz behind, waiting for the silver red Mercedes to rejoin. Lenz goes through. There goes Andre Kursin coming through and limping around on the outside. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Norbert Kies will be lucky to pick up any points. He'll have fallen out of the top 10 without. I'd like to see a replay as to what happened. He was close in behind Jochen Hahn, just 0.4 of a second on the start-finish line. Got down to turn 1 and it went wrong. But maybe that truck has been smoking away at the back for a long time. But silence in the grandstand for the first time all race. They came here to see Norbert Kies win. Well, he managed that in the opening race yesterday. But unfortunately for him, that is over and out in race 4 of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship here at the Hungaroring. Bad news also for truck number 14. That's Jose Rodriguez running in 10th place overall. A drive-through penalty for him. So that will bring Shane Brereton, who's just under half a second down on him, up into 10th place for the final point scoring position. There is Sasha Lenz in 8th place. There is Andre Kursin, tucked in behind his 17. In fact, he's already got past Jose Rodriguez, who's got that drive-through penalty to serve. Norbert Kies, oh, the disappointment will be absolutely massive. Great afternoon for him here, and some of the fans are already deciding to vote with their feet and go and get a cooling drink because their hero is no longer in the race. Ged Korber still doing all he can. He's got slightly tattered bodywork at the rear. Yes, there has been some form of contact. David Versecki has to be the most likely culprit in that, unless it was on the first lap sort out down at turn 2, because he's the driver so close in behind, as you can see. So Ryan Smith, after the demise of Norbert Kies, goes up into 6th. Jochen Hahn still in 5th, David Versecki 4th, trying his utmost to get past the 27 truck of Gerd Korber into 3rd place. Steffi Harm now pulling suitably clear. How far behind Adam Lachko is he? Lachko leading the race in his Freightliner by 6, 7, 8 seconds. What's it going to be? 7.2 seconds. And then comes a gap of more than 2.5 seconds back to Korber in 3rd place. So Steffi Harm is safe in 2nd. There is the race leader, Adam Lachko. 7 laps scored. He's on to the 8th out of 11. Steffi Harm in the blue 44. Plenty of space behind her. She's sitting comfortably, but Gerd Korber just bunching up the group behind, keeping them honest. In fact, the last lap for Adam Lachko was the fastest of the race, 2 minutes 19.9. Waved yellow flags where Norbert Kies has gone off on the exit of turn 1, or more to the point where he's pulled to a halt. Gerd Korber's made a mistake. He had to brake so hard you could see the wheels bouncing around. David Versecki said, well, if you're not going to stay on the racing line, I'm taking you off the circuit. So bit of a thump there. So for Gerd Korber, who'd hung on to 2nd for so long, passed by Harm, has now fallen down to 6th position with Ryan Smith going past. So bit of a clonk there from David Versecki. Jochen Hahn, who did his clonking on the opening lap when he spun Sasha Lentz by pushing Shane Brereton into him, is now both been doing a bit of rather physical driving, and they are in 3rd and 4th positions. For Gerd Korber, who drove so hard for so long, still in the race, but now it looks as though Sasha Lentz has got past him as well. We'll readjust our sights a short while ago. Let's take a look at the replay. Mistake going into the corner from Korber, and then he cut across, so maybe he did start to close in on Versecki as Versecki dived up the inside, but the push from Versecki thumped the 27 truck off the circuit. Number 1 would go through as well, as would 88 on the exit of turn 3. 27, Gerd Korber would come back onto the track, but on the exit of turn 3, Ryan Smith and 88 would tuck up the inside and had the power down earlier and was able to accelerate past. And now, in fact, if you look, 88 is getting quite serious about trying to pass Jochen Hahn. Hahn still being delayed by David Versecki, and behind them Gerd Korber being assaulted by another truck that's remarkably similar from the front. This time it's Sasha Lentz, so he did manage to get going just before his fellow German racer Sasha managed to pass him. So 27 is Korber, 30 is Lentz. Versecki, Hahn and Smith. Let's see who's got the great grunt going down the start-finish straight out of turn 14. Always a Freightliner seems to be very, very good indeed. Ryan Smith taking the line up by the pit wall, a line that was used not so long ago by Norbert Kies, and a fat lot of good it did him. He wasn't able to overtake, and eventually at this very corner you can see the tyre marks where he ran off the circuit on the outside over the green paint. And here the tyre squeal, the understeer really, really building. Is that dragging bodywork off the back of Ryan Smith's truck? Maybe not, I'll have to have a look from another angle. But Smith in 88, now in 5th place, chasing reigning champion Jochen Hahn in the number 1, David Versecki. And it was for exceeding track limits, by the way, that Jose Rodriguez got the drive-through penalty. He's made that pit stop and it's dropped him to 12th, perhaps even to 13th. Waiting for him to complete the lap so we can confirm that. He's still in 12th, still ahead of Antonio Albacete, who obviously had all the delays and all the tattered bodywork after the contact at turn 2, which was not Albacete's fault, it was the fault of Jochen Hahn. Bowie Klein-Nagelfort, his truck looking a little lighter, number 15, he's up into 11th place. He was the one who had all the clutch problems and started from pit exit, and actually that wasn't the worst place to start on the opening lap, keeping clear of the trouble at turn 2. David Versecki still hanging on to that 3rd place, so it's Bagheera International Freightliners first in the form of Adam Lachko. He's 7.5 seconds clear of Steffi Harm, who's 4.5 seconds clear of David Versecki. In that number 33, the second of the Lachko, the teammate of the Bagheera International Freightliners. You don't come truck racing and not pick up a few scars. There's Ryan Smith, but those scars were from yesterday, actually. But it looks as though something was attached. Yeah, is that someone else's bit of their bodywork, the number plate or whatever, attached to the front of 33? Can't quite tell, but I'm not sure that was there at the start of the race. Now the Rodriguez is running together. Eduardo was ahead of Jose. Jose has now gone past, so son has overtaken father. And Klein Negavort was the meat in the sandwich, but Jose's passed the two of them. So a sense of anticlimax here. Quite a few people are still actually getting up and leaving. I don't know why you would. There's still plenty more racing to watch. We've got another lap and a bit to go. 2 laps, effectively. 9 laps on the board. We're waiting for 11 to be completed. Nobody is going to catch Adam Lachko. It's going to be 3 wins and a second place. So a highly, hugely profitable visit here for him to Hungary. Jochen Hahn getting closer and closer in that battle for third place. But he can't depose David Vasecki. So it's been a great event for the Bagheera International Racing Systems team. So they're going to collect first and fourth in this race. It seemed Vasecki was just caught napping and a better turn in. But Vasecki's not a driver who backs out of things, as we saw early in the race, and he's certainly going to say, if you're coming past, you've got to take the scenic route. A bit more bodywork falling off. I presume that was off number 1, Jochen Hahn, or was he being clipped there by Ryan Smith as Hahn got pushed wide? No, I think possibly it was something off the back of David Vasecki's truck. Now here's the moment for Hahn to make a move very, very late on the braking. That might push him wide. This could open the door for Ryan Smith in 88. Not this time, but things are changing. Yeah, I think it was on the bars off the back of 33. Vasecki's truck we saw bouncing off as they left the exit of turn 3, went down into the compression. Vasecki came back across to hold on to third position. Ryan Smith started to make a charge. Sasha Lenz looks fairly safe in 6th place. Behind him, number 17, Shane Brereton, picking up a decent result here, chased by Andre Kursim. And all along, escaping at the lead of the field, Adam Lachko. And all along, of course, for Norbert Kiss, watch from over the barriers on the exit of turn 1. Huge disappointment now, looking to try a run down the inside into turn 12. And tucking in behind again. So Jochen Hahn stays in 4th place overall, David Vasecki in 3rd. Hahn going, I quite fancy coming up the inside into turn 13. Didn't work at all. So on to lap 11 from 11. It would take a disaster to stop it being 3 wins from 4 races here at the Hungaroring in the FIA in European Truck Racing Championship for Adam Lachko. His teammate David Vasecki somehow holding on to 3rd place. Steffi Harm nailed down, 7 seconds down on Lachko, but 7 seconds ahead of this battle for 3rd place. She will be safe in 2nd. There she is in the 44 man, turning through the first corner. Now this time Vasecki going very defensive, taking the inside line, the central line, into turn 1, out of turn 1. Ryan Smith trying to stay right on their tails. Jochen Hahn getting very twitchy as they go through the kink down to turn 2, but he can't get close enough to make a dive. Now we saw Vasecki running wide here a lap ago, this time a far better run through the corner. So I think the Czech maybe has done the job. That was the danger part on the circuit, but that said, we're coming up to turn 4 and a good line through here, a good little extra bit of speed. Being very late on the braking for turn 5 could be a place to make a move. He's trying it. Hahn goes around the outside. I think Vasecki thought, well, I've adopted the inside line. The only way past me is on the outside, and I'm not going to let you have it. Oh yes, a very wise head, David Vasecki. He's clearly done this before, as you'd expect from someone who's a previous European truck racing champion. Sasha Lenz capturing the group. On this, the final lap, Ryan Smith still fancying his chances, but I'd say with only turns 11, 12, 13, 14 left to make a move, it's not going to be happening. He's not going to go up a position, barring disasters, and it would take an absolute disaster to prevent victory going to this driver, Adam Lachko. What a meeting he's had. Don't forget, he started this race in 8th place on the reverse grid, was up to 2nd at the end of the opening lap, and soon picked his way to the front past Gerd Korber and has driven untroubled. So 14 turns on the lap, 11 laps in the race. This is turn 14 of lap 11, so it's the final corner of the race, and Adam Lachko, well, he has done such a solid champion type results here. What a performance. a second place and 3 wins. He's never won the European Truck Racing Championship. You feel this weekend has turned very much into his to gain. And the final placings, it's Lachko, Harm, Vasecki, Hahn, Smith, Lentz, 7th place just going there to Shane Brereton, Andre Kursim chasing him home, and just waiting to see who will complete the top 10 finishers. It should be Jose Rodriguez ahead of the battered and tattered 23 truck. There is Rodriguez, Portuguese racer, and the Spanish racer Antonio Albacete not far behind, so a good race for Albacete considering he was given such a hearty thump at turn 2 on the opening lap. So there's 14, Jose Rodriguez. So I've been talking about second, first and first for Adam Lachko. A bit of an oversight. It was 4th place in the opening race yesterday. 4th, first and first. But with the points for that extends his championship lead. Teammate David Vasecki will be delighted to be up on the podium for the first time all year in 3rd place in the 33 truck. Jochen Hahn also scored well. 2nd, 5th, and now 4th this afternoon. Ryan Smith for the Oxo Energy Racing team, he claims 5th place, so it's at 11th, 6th, 4th and 5th here. But Steffi Harm has really done a fabulous job, really was unfairly pushed back to 5th place yesterday afternoon, but a very solid run for her. 3rd, 5th, 3rd and 2nd. But you have to say, for truck racing fans, the form of Adam Lachko looking very, very ominous. Whenever the trucks were on their own on the circuit, Norbert Kies had a very, very good opportunity. But in the heat of battle in races 2 and 4, it came unstuck for him. Still don't know why he pulled off down on the exit of turn 1, but the fact of the matter is, it's a 0 score for him, so he'll be very, very disappointed. He came here 2nd place in the championship and was picking up the points to maybe make further gains, but unfortunately it's not to be. Hot afternoon of racing for the 16 trucks in the European Truck Racing Championship, but none of them, not one of the other 15 drivers, could hold a candle to this man, Adam Lachko, who made it look very, very easy indeed. He would have loved to have had a race with Norbert Kies, keep him on his toes, but it wasn't to be. And of course we had to sort out at turn 2 on the opening lap. I must confess, I'm slightly surprised that that Jochen Hahn was able to keep his position, because he was the person who caused that. But Adam Lachko winning by 4.3 seconds. He backed off on that final lap. Steffi Harm likewise a tidy advantage over David Vasecki in the 2nd Freightliner. Jochen Hahn, who triggered the accident at turn 2 on the opening lap, 4th place overall. Ryan Smith, Sasha Lenz, Ryan Brereton, Andre Kursim, Antonio Albacete and Irvin Klein-Nagelfort. So Jose Rodriguez obviously picked up a penalty. He was ahead of Antonio Albacete at the end of the race. And he's been moved down the order. But 2 non-finishers, Gert Korber, 27, and Norbert Kies. We saw Kies go out, and Korber also had his problems towards the end of the race. And reporting to the pit lane, but to Parc Ferme is the winner. 3 wins from 4 starts for Adam Lachko, the driver of Freightliner number 55 from the Bagheera International Racing Systems team. Job well done. Waited him to climb on down, and he really has performed very, very well here indeed. And the Bagheera team want to know how he made it look so incredibly easy. Up from 8th place, 2nd at the end of the opening lap. But let's go down to hear the thoughts of Adam Lachko. Dakota's caught up with him, Paddock. 3 wins from 4. He's getting to know Dakota very well.
Congratulations. You were on fire today, Adam. Nothing seemed to stop you today.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice race, really nice day for me here in Hungaroring. 2 victories, it's very, very nice. And this race in last lap, it's a little bit tough because I have some problem with throttle and it's not working. Maybe it's only 10% and I go really, really slow. And I have big gap. It's good for me because I finish first. When I don't have a gap, I think I don't win. But I win and I'm very happy for me and for all team. and I think we go from here really nicely.
Well, I've only got two things to say to you. Congratulations and boop boop. Keep on trucking.
Thank you very much, Dakota. So had those behind known that Adam was not just backing off on that final lap, I mean, obviously they were flat out anyhow, but and one more lap and he may not have kept that win. So David Vasecki joining in the congratulations down there. First and third for the Bagheera International Racing System team with their Freightliners. And Steffi Harm, 2 podiums today, third. And then second, there's her blue 44 man in the background. So the honours shared around not terribly evenly here at the Hungaroring, because 3 of the 4 wins went not to the hometown hero, Norbert Kies. But let's go down to Dakota. She has another interview for us down in the paddock.
Stephanie, congratulations. The only woman driver, a very proud woman driver you must be.
Yeah, for me, it's not important if I'm a woman or not and the only one in the field, but the result is perfect. Finished second in the beginning of the race. After the start, I thought, yeah, could work, but then after a few corners, I thought, shit, okay, now I have to fight, but it worked very well and finished second in the last race. Here, it's perfect for us.
Sorry, everyone, for the language. It's very emotional down here. Congratulations, you've done really well. Let's see what the future holds for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dakota. Yes, unfortunate language there from Steffi Harm, but hugely emotional. She really has had a good weekend and stayed out of trouble today. It wasn't her fault yesterday, but everyone seemed to have a go at pushing her off the track, but she has been right at the front end. As I said before the race, one of the top 4 drivers here, and that second position just matches the speed she clearly has. But once Adam Lachko got clear, there was nothing she could do about him. She took a while to get past Gerd Korber, and Lachko was gone and was clear at the head of the race, and he stayed there to the finish. But there was that twist in the tail, or very nearly a twitch and a twist. But unfortunately, one of the rescue vehicles is maybe going to go down and have a go at towing number 24 back to the pits, because that was the hometown hero. First retirement for the race. Gerd Korber joined him on the sidelines, in fact made it back to the pits later on. He'd been up the front end too, but for Norbert Kies, he didn't make the best of starts. In fact, he made a lousy start from 7th, and he never recovered from that. Was fighting in 6th position, but just could not get past David Vasecki. And in fact, it was Vasecki who did the overtaking to advance from 6th to 5th to 4th, and then eventually to 3rd. But the day today belonged to that man doing further interviews, to Adam Lachko, 3 wins and a 4th place over the course of 2 days here at the Hungaroring. That sets him up very fair indeed for the next race he's heading to, his home race, the Czech Truck Grand Prix at Most in the Czech Republic next weekend, the 2nd and 3rd of September. So it's a busy time, but it's definitely advantage to the driver, Adam Lachko. He's extended his championship lead. Let's take a look at the highlights. So reversed order on the grid. That's Gerd Korber on the front row. He will be looking to see how long he could hang in there, but starting 7th after 2nd place in the previous race was 24. But look, a dreadful start from Norbert Kies. David Vasecki would get past him on the run to the first corner, and that would prove absolutely pivotal. And on the outside, running in 6th position at that point, is Adam Lachko. By the end of the lap, he would be 2nd. Leading the way, Sasha Lentz in 30, but then 27 dived up the inside. And then a clout from behind on Lentz. It left Brereton in 17, nowhere to go. Antonio Albacete thumping the barriers after that push from Jochen Hahn. And you can see the 23-man very, very tattered indeed. He would get to the finish in 9th place, but he lost so much ground. Ryan Smith in 88 was picking off the back markers, working his way up the order, coming up behind Frankie now as he went past one of the Rodriguez trucks. That was 14. That was Jose Rodriguez at turn number 5. He would continue to advance, but not far ahead of him. You could see the 2 silver and red Mercedes. The front one of the pair was the one the local fans wanted to be there. It was Norbert Kies, but they wanted him further up the order. And then Gerd Korber and that's Adam Lachko going around Gerd Korber. That was the pass for the lead around the outside at turn 2, completed at turn 3, and then Korber was passed on the start-finish straight by Steffi Harm. He would fight back, but eventually Harm would get clear and run her way to the finish. And that was the moment where suddenly Norbert Kies went off from 6th place, pulled off at the side of the circuit. Gerd Korber then sent a running over the outside of the circuit by David Vasecki. Jochen Hahn went through as well. And the 2 drivers who were really the assailants are in your picture there, Vasecki and Hahn. They would end in that order, 33 ahead of 1 in 3rd and 4th positions. But this was a day that belonged to Adam Lachko in 55, sweeping through turn 14 to complete 11 laps and to complete 3 wins from 4 starts. It's his meeting here at the Hungaroring.